In this video, we'll look at how Adobe Experience Manager Communities can help you create and manage engaging community experiences for your customers, your partners, and your employees. Communities typically use one of two different formats. Engagement communities are usually customer-facing and can be used to better serve and help your customers who might have questions or who want to interact with the wider community. Enablement communities feature learning resources and can be used to better enable, train, and engage your partners and employees. In order to show you how AEM Communities helps in supporting these use cases, we're going to walk through a demonstration that includes a number of users corresponding to the typical personas that can be found in a communities project. For example, guest users, registered members, privileged members, and community managers. We'll also look at some of the roles of the individuals who are creating and managing the community site, including our web content manager, our enablement manager, and administrator. We're going to start with a guest user called Alison. Alison loves to ski, and she lands in the communities area of our website after doing a search on Google. She's instantly attracted to the blog area in Communities, where she reads an article about warm clothes for winter sports. Alison has wanted to find better gloves for the winter season, so naturally she searches for gloves, and she's presented with a couple of possible options. Alison then navigates to the Blackcomb Gloves page. She reads the question and the answers so far, including the one indicated by the poster as the best answer. One of the answers is in a different language, but she's given the option to do inline translation. She finds the thread interesting, so she decides to share the link to her Facebook page. Alison navigates one level up to the top of this Q&A area, and out of curiosity, she sorts the questions by the most viewed. As an avid surfer, she happens to have an answer for the Lagos Mini Longboard question in the list. It's time for Alison to register. There's a Facebook login option allowing her to quickly register, and she can provide an answer. She's instantly rewarded with a bronze badge for this first contribution. This longboard question was originally asked by Weston, a regular community member. As soon as Alison replied, Weston instantly got a notification email with a link to the original thread. This notification is actually in a longer list of notifications compiled of all of the recent events that Weston should be aware of. After logging in, Weston navigates back to Alison's answer, which happens to be the best answer, so he instantly marks it as the correct answer. Being impressed with Alison's knowledge on this topic, he accesses her profile and looks at her recent activities and decides to follow her. Weston then takes a quick look at the leaderboard. His participation score is fantastic, but he wants to make sure he stays near the top, so he'll continue to participate in the community. Weston navigates to the assignments area, where some personalized learning resources are available to targeted members. He decides to watch one of these skiing lessons. Once done, he adds a quick comment and rates the video. He's also able to check the calendar for any upcoming skiing events. All of these events can be tagged to make sure they're easy to find. Following topics and tags, and even other community members, can increase engagement by highlighting relevant content. Weston can review the recent activities that might be relevant to him based on the followed topics and people and the current trends on the site's homepage. Let's take a look at the process for a privileged member, Emily, who's the primary blogger on the site and who wants to add a new submission. Once logged into the site, she's presented with an interface slightly different from that of Weston, with the ability to add new blog articles or pick up from a draft she was working on previously. All she needs to do in this case is add some imagery and then post the article to make it available immediately. In this article, Emily is writing about a new upcoming event, and it's time to add the event to the community calendar so that the rest of the members are made aware of it. It's now time for Aaron, our community manager, to take over. Aaron sees the list of messages and that a new one is waiting for him. It's a message from Emily asking to be added to a private group about surfing. So Aaron navigates to this private group and invites Emily to the group. He checks the main thread and notices an engaging discussion happening, so he decides to promote the thread and pin it at the top of the group. In this discussion, though, he also sees a post that's not really worth presenting, which he can quickly deny in context. And finally, Aaron's job is also to review the global content that's been flagged. He can do this from the bulk moderation console by selecting the content that's been flagged and then deleting them all in a single operation. Aaron can also transform one of the blog articles into a valuable piece of web content for someone else to use later on. He can do this by converting it to a content fragment. Our next persona is Jason, the Enablement Manager. Earlier, we've seen how Weston could consume learning content in the form of videos, documents, and even interactive quizzes. Jason can view a report for any of the resources, which includes overall analytics measuring engagement, video analytics to see how far members progress through each video, and overall progress for each of the members who were assigned to this resource. Jason can upload a new ski lesson from an MP4 video file on his desktop. He can select a thumbnail image for the resource, decide on the tags for the resource to make it easy to find in the catalog, and then upload the file and select a contact for the resource. He can then save and publish it to make it available in the catalog. He can then add this fourth lesson to the overall learning path, then simply saving and publishing his changes. It's not just community content that needs to be moderated. Members also may need to be managed. We're now switching to the back-end features of AEM Communities, and we'll log in as Rebekah, our community manager. Rebekah can manage both members and groups from the AEM interface. She's got quick access to view the KPIs for these members, such as the activity in terms of viewing and posting content for selected time periods. For any given community member, Rebekah can quickly view the user profile, assigning roles, permissions, and badges. She can also get a consolidated view of the activity for the entire site, both on views and posts through dedicated reports. In fact, this entire community experience was entirely configured by Rebekah, our community administrator, using out-of-the-box AEM community features. First, we can see how this site is available in 4 different languages. And if we check the details, we can see the features currently in place for this community site. Adding a new feature is as easy as dragging and dropping a new element from the predefined library. Let's add a new standard page to the site so that we have a welcome page as our homepage for the community. There's also a variety of user management, moderation, and multilingual settings. For instance, here we could promote Weston as a new community moderator for the site. We'll save our changes and hand it over to Andrew, our brand manager, who's going to refine the content of the homepage. Andrew is our content manager, and he's accessing the traditional authoring environment for configuring pages and components on those pages. So let's open the authoring environment for the English version of the site. We can see the recently added welcome page. Andrew will start by adding some components to the page. First, he'll begin with a title component, which by default will take on the title of the community, but can be quickly changed. He'll add a text component as well as an image component, so we can easily add some content to the page. He also drags out a content fragment component. To add an image to the image component, he can upload a file from his desktop, but Andrew also has access to images stored in the digital asset library. So in this case, he'll simply drag and drop an image that's already been approved for use by the marketing team. We previously created a content fragment from a blog post. We can reuse that fragment now by adding it to this page. By selecting Layout Mode, we can optimize the page for a responsive design and test it to ensure it looks great on everything from a large desktop monitor to a smartphone. Once we're finished, we can simply publish the page. In this context, the powerful authoring capabilities of Adobe Experience Manager are key for creating a great customer experience with personalized and targeted content.